As rural Americans, we have a unique understanding of and connection to the land. Whether we ranch, farm, log, or simply recreate, what we do today determines our tomorrow. As stewards of the land, it's our duty to ensure that our children and grandchildren can enjoy the outdoors in a similar manner that was afforded us. Join the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and ensure the future of elk, other wildlife, their habitat, and our hunting heritage. Visit rmef.org today.
Growing up, you wanted those older cowboys that you admired to someday call you a cowboy. Nobody can tell you you can't do that if you want to work at it hard enough. If money's super important, I'm doing the wrong thing, but I kind of got to pinch myself because I truly love what I do. It's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. Just make sure it gets taken care of.
Well, welcome to episode number 47 of According to Flint, and being joined, of course, today by the, I had to make sure I had it right, the 12-time PBR Stock Contractor of the Year, coming to us from lovely, it's the home of the Braves, Mandan, North Dakota, the one and only Chad Berger. Mandan Braves, right?
Yeah, right, yeah, go Braves, man.
First of all, because we were talking before we started recording, and we get a lot of people that listen to this that are PBR fans, some rodeo fans, some people that aren't, but a lot that don't understand truly kind of the cattle industry, because the bull industry is kind of an offshoot. It's I hate to say a novelty business, but a specialty business. But the cattle business is also your thing. Where were you today, and explain what you did today before we went on the air?
Well, I got up in the morning and I drove down I-94 to Jamestown, North Dakota, about 110 miles straight east of us here, and went to a cattle auction. I do that 4 or 5 days a week I used to do it 6 days a week, and I've been doing this is my 42nd year. And
so what do you do? You got to explain, what are you looking to do? How do you make money at that?
Well, number one, I'm a livestock, what you'd call an order buyer. I have orders all over the United States that when people need cattle, they call me, and I go to the cattle auctions and I find what they're looking for. That's one way that's my main business. And then we also feed a lot of cattle right here on my ranch, and we grass about 3,000 yearlings and about 800 cows every summer. And, so we buy them all winter long, getting them groomed and ready for grass. And then we finish some cattle in some commercial lots and fatten cattle. But I like to think that we're one of the biggest order buyers in the country. Me and my older brother, Fred, and now my son-in-law, JR, he goes to some sales. And between the three of us, we probably buy a couple 100,000 cattle a year.
How many did you buy today?
Well, today was a real small sale, but one guy brought a string of his steers in there, and I bought 4 semi-loads of 856-pound steers. There was 287 head in one draft, and I bought them all, and they bring about $1,400, a little over $1,450 by the head. I give 169.75 cents a pound for them. And they're going all the way to northwest Iowa, down around Sioux Center, Iowa, where those farmers there will fatten them. They'll take them up to about 1,600 to 1,700 pounds, and then they'll go to slaughter for them good steaks you eat downtown.
So are you paid? And this is for mine too. Even though I grew up around ranch and I've never quite understood the cattle buying. Where is the money you make on that? Is it on the gain? Is it on the gain once you sell them?
Well, not when I do what I did today. I just get paid a commission for my buying the cattle for the guy. I get a commission, but on these cattle that I feed on myself, it costs you so much a pound to put it on, and hopefully it's less than what you get for them when you sell them. But the feed prices have just went through the roof, and it's just killing these feeders. Corn went from $3 a bushel to $7.5, $8. just all the feeds. Hay is extremely short in the country. It went from 100 to 150 a ton to 250 to $350 a ton. So the cost of gain is enormous right now, but the fat cattle are bringing quite a bit more, and it kind of balances it out. And now people always think cheap fat feed, high cattle, but cheap feed creates cheaper cattle because they put too many pounds on them because it's cheap to do it. And then when you get to your carcass weights, when they go to the plants, are up 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds a head. Well, when you're killing 135,000 head a day, take 10 pounds and you just got added another 1.3 pounds of beef to the slaughter a day. So when high price feed, what happens is when them cattle are finished, they sell them because cost of gain is so high once they get to that point that you can't afford to feed them. So basically it pushes cattle to the market and keeps the carcass weights down. Then pretty soon your carcass weights go down. You got less meat in storage. And so high grain will eventually make high cattle, and cheap grain feed will eventually make cheaper cattle.
See, I learned today. I should have, talking to you, Chad, it really shines a light that maybe I should have been in FFA or something. Like I should have known that shit. I should know this stuff. Right. Isn't it something though, as you're talking, I mean, I in general understand buy cattle, fatten them. It's the true stock market, hoping your gamble pays off. But just the taking cattle to slaughter, the process of getting carcasses where you want them. Isn't it amazing how many people in this country have no idea where their food comes from? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. They think it just lands there in the store and somebody brought it there and nothing. They don't realize the process it takes from the rancher calving that cow out and getting it to pasture, taking it off that, feeding it, getting it to the feedlot to wean. Then they sell them. Then they sell those weaned calves in a sale barn or in the country to another guy that might grass them. So he grasses them the next summer, and then he sells the feedlot. They switch hands, a lot of those cattle, 4 or 5 times before they get to the finished product,
What's interesting is, and we'll talk the bull business too, but people who say this bull riding, it's mean to those bulls and blah, blah, blah. Really, it has created, in a sense, a reason for to have bulls. Because there's really, in this whole process, you didn't talk much about bulls.
Yeah.
Because they breed things. That's it.
Exactly. And plus, the rodeo bull has the best life of any beef animal. Heck, any animal alive, I think, but especially beef animal. They get to live a way longer life. Like we're talking these cattle that were fat to finish. Well, some of them only live for 11, 12 months from the time they hit the ground as a calf till they're finished. Well, they don't have much of a lifespan, right? Well, the bucking bull, these great bucking bulls, they buck till they're 8 or 9 years old, 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Smooth Operator won a world title at 10. And then them great bulls, they never get slaughtered. I've got people should come to my place and see it. I have in the tree rows, I have a grave site with all my great bulls. I don't even take the risk of selling them to somebody else that chance they could get slaughtered. I spend tens of thousands of dollars keeping them old bulls around that just because I don't want to see them die. Get slaughtered and somebody eat them. So I have Smooth Operator up there. I have Pearl Harbor up there. I have Asteroid up there, Smackdown, Big Tex, all these great bulls, Copperhead Slinger, Hell Station Deuces Wild, Yellow Jacket Jr. There's a grave site up there for all those great bulls. They live out their life till their whole eternity, and then they get buried on this ranch. So you tell me what other animal gets to live like that?
Yeah, that you're going to be right there, Chad. You got that whole row of bulls, and then it's going to say, and here's Chad where he's going to dig a big hole just right there. By God.
Yeah.
The least popular of all the bulls is going to be you.
Well, actually, our friend Chris is buying all Cooper Tires is going to buy headstones for every one of them. I have one up there for Pearl Harbor that some people had made for me, but we're gonna identify each bull, and them headstones will be there for hopefully for eternity, and people will always know what lies right there, you know.
Yeah. When I introduce you as 12-time stock contractor of the year, and I know from, you know, it's probably, you never take it for granted, never get used to it. But when you hear that you are voted by bull riders or whoever, that you're the one they appreciate the most, basically is what they're saying. You do the best job.
Basically, I've probably got the most bulls. Anybody that, you know, we do touring pros, you see them, we bring the whole herd. There ain't not, that's not even possible for anybody else to put on a whole touring pro. And I'm the only guy in the history of the sport that did a UTB with all of his bulls. Yeah. No other bulls there but mine. And so, you know, there's a lot of pride in that to me to win that, to let them, that they notice how hard you work to make sure they have good stock to get on. And my bull herd, I don't design it around eliminators and bulls that are big and scary and nobody wants to get on. I buy the bulls that really buck, but have timing, and them guys love to get on them. And I think that has a little bit of part to do with it. And, you know, I don't want to say I'm smarter than everybody else, but I try to do, I spend a lot of time figuring out how to become the stock contractor of the year, you know.
Do you set out to go, by God, I'm going to win stock contractor of the year? Or do you just set out to go, I'm going to make this the best? Because I spend a lot of time with you in the summer. We just did Kalispell, Great Falls. We'll go to Deadwood. You do Bismarck and Belcourt and Binford. It does take some thought, because the reality is you don't have 30 guys that are going to show up that have been world champs or PBR world finals guys. You have just bull riders. You in essence have to match the bull to the rider in a sense, right?
Exactly. Before I ever set a draw, I get the draw in from the PBR. I look at the list of riders and I say, ooh, we better back down a little bit. Or if we got a great set of talent coming, I'll step it up. But I try to match it so that this weekend didn't really work out, but I try to match it so we have enough rides, enough to sell the show, but I don't want to bring dinks that there's 75 points on, but bulls that you should ride if you do everything right. And, you know, that's been my theory. And going back to, do I say I'm going to win stock contractor year? I never have one time. I always tell my guys, everybody around me, I said, we do our job the very best that we can. I said, don't worry about it, what everybody else is doing. I ain't got time to worry about what Pages or Hearts or them guys are doing. We have to concentrate on what we're doing. And then we do it the best we can. And when it's time, when the end of the year, when they decide who's stock contractor year, if we win, that's a bonus. Mm-hmm. And that shows that we did our jobs. But if we're out there worried about what the next guy is doing, you ain't doing your job. You know, I learned that a long time ago. All the years you've known me or anybody's known me, I never talk about my competition. I don't talk about them. I don't talk, if anything, I might say something good about them, but I do not talk about them, because all I'm doing is advertising for them. If it's good or bad, I'm just advertising for them. I concentrate on Chad Berger bucking bulls, and I have tunnel vision. I don't care what goes on around me, as long as we're doing what we're supposed to do and make it the best we possibly can. When it comes to the end of the year, we have a shot. We have a shot to win. And if we win, then it's just that much better.
Can you make money at it? Yeah, I mean, I've heard you say, listen, this isn't where I make my money. I make my money with my real job, what you just told us. Where is the money in the bull business? I get asked that a lot. I mean, obviously the per out that you get paid every day at PBR, is it in selling semen? Is it a war? Explain that.
Yeah. Right now it's real tough with semen sales are not, they're pretty slow, and
I know how that goes.
I do it in a big enough way, and I've got 14 touring pros or wherever and they're nice contracts where I get all the money, and we hold it together here, and we might make a little, but I'm in it for the love of the sport. I'm in it for, if people ask me or say to me, man, you've really had a good career. I said, what do you mean? Well, all these contractor here. I said, let me tell you something. That ain't my career. It's my hobby and my passion. It's become part of my career, but my career is in the beef industry. Like I say, I run a lot of cattle. I buy a lot of cattle on orders. That's my career. That's the career I've had. This is something that I love to do, and it gets me away from all the stuff, like all the headaches you have in your real career, and I get to hang out with these young kids. They make you feel young. You don't even realize it. I'm 60 years old. I don't realize. I think I'm like them guys. It's just so fun, and and to watch those bulls buck, and the athletes they are. That's what turns my crank, or whatever you want to call it. That's what fires me up. And I've been sitting in them stinky sale barns for 42 years. There's nothing exciting about that. That's just a way to make a living, but go to these bull ridings and get to meet a lot of fans, I've met so many great people, and made so many friends, like the PBR, they're just one big happy family, and when I go there and I see Richard Jones and Clint Atkins and Matt West and you and even the guys, I'm not good with names, but the guys that are working on the crews that you've seen there for, some of them guys been there 10, 15 years, but that's what I do it for. Is the camaraderie and the love of the sport, and see the greatest riders get on them every weekend.
What kind of bull rider were you? How would you just describe yourself? You're looking at yourself when you were 20. Yeah. How would you describe yourself as a bull rider?
Well, I could ride some of the rankest bulls my dad had, and then I could fall off a 19-pointer, but I won a lot of money. I won a lot of buckles and trophies and stuff like high school rodeos. Me and my brother-in-law Skinner, there was 8 high school rodeos when we were seniors. I won 4 of the bull ridings. He won 4 of the bull ridings. I was second once. He was second once. So we went into state finals tied. You could only take your best 5 rodeos. I mean, I was that caliber. I got married when I was 20 years old. I had 2 kids by the time I was 22. And I was buying cattle. I was buying semi-trailers, bull wagons. And pretty soon I had 6 bull wagons. I'm 23 years old, and I got all this stuff going on. And I still rode a long time, but it's an amateur rodeos and some circuit rodeos. And I did well, I like to say I'm like these guys. No, I could, if I wanted to be, maybe, yeah, if I would have, but I was the kind of guy that I had 2 kids and I was scared to death that I had to make sure these kids had clothes to wear, food to eat. And, I just took full responsibility at 20 years old. It's like, wow, and so, yeah. And then I got to a point where I had so much invested in these trucks and trailers and all this that I was talking one day. I said, Jesus Christ, I'd break a leg or break a neck or something. I could lose it all because I had to be at them sales during the week to keep them trucks a rolling, them trailers making money, and me making money. So I just one day, I think I was 29 years old, and I just said, I'm done.
Piss on it. Yeah.
Well, but I did everything. I rode Bronx, barebacks. I team roped, I calf roped, I bulldogged, I cow cut, I did everything event you could think that we had at them years. I'd done it, and I'd done it all, fairly well, I'd say. Saddle bronc riding, when I was a senior in high school, I needed 47 points to win the nation. I just had to ride my horse. He'd come out 3 jumps, flipped up over end, landed on me and snapped my arm off right here. It cost me the world title. That was the same year Cody Lambert. He come in. I come in like 3rd place. He come in 1st or 2nd. He missed his horse out to win. He only needed to be like 42 points.
Well, at least you broke your arm. Now I can.
Yeah.
Now I can torture him about that. I didn't know he was there the same time.
Yeah, he missed his horse out the same day.
I didn't think Cody Lambert ever made a ride that wasn't correct. I thought he did it right every time. Am I wrong?
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know that day.
We were both of us, as seniors in Fargo, we were both only 17 years old. We were like the young people in your class,
Mm-hmm.
I was born in August. He was born later in the fall. And so, yeah, it was, I had what I'd call great success. And then in the 90s, I got bored and I started buying some head horse. I bought a head horse and I went roping. And in 1994, I won 7 saddles and a 3-horse slant trailer in one summer. I mean, I just got to where I'd go over and practice at Lee Allen's and me and Scott Zellin went to the USTRCA finals in 93. And we were like 6 seconds ahead, going high team back in the 9. I snapped the head on, loop on, he comes around, heels him, double hawks him and pantyhose him and couldn't get to his horn. And he's out there farting. He got his rope up in his air. His horse went a 360 round, went down. We still end up 3rd, but that's how much time we had to win it all. We went from 9,000, from like 48,000 a man to 9,000 a man. One screw up. But so I was real sick. I won 13 saddles in about 7 years, but I won 7 of them in that 1 year.
Where are they? Where are they, Al? Where's all the saddles? Do you have them?
Well, there's some here, back right behind me. About 5 or 6 of them burned up in this same spot we're sitting in. There was a barn there, and I had a stack room. They burned up. Lacey and Juwan went in and got about 4 of them. And actually, a couple of them, ones I didn't like, I sold them for $200-300. They were ugly saddles, just cheap saddles. I could one up in White Shield one time. It was just looked like they got it off the Sears and Roebuck,
I won't tell them you said that.
But I got some very nice saddles that I really like, that I won a Gary Gebhardt saddle, handmade saddles, some of them. And then USTRCA rope and saddles. I won the North Dakota one twice and the South Dakota one once. They're really nice saddles. Got all them around. We ride quite a few of them. Yeah.
All this stuff I didn't know. All these years. I just go to your house and eat steaks and leave.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know all that.
I was, when I was a senior in high school, I boxed 137 pounds. I was a Golden Glove boxer. And I weighed about 145, 150, but I'd go down 137 for state. And that same year, I won 3 of the Bulldogs at the high school rodeo. So you know what I weighed, but I had muscles. We all square bales all summer long.
You're a 137. Hell, that's not. You're close to that now. I saw you on the treadmill the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. So one guy asked me, he said, "Would you ever want to ride a bull again?" I said, "Well, there's about 110 pounds of me that's never been on one."
That's true.
That'd be his first bull.
But you and I've talked. You went to and I think of this because after this next week, I'm going to the college national finals to watch my daughter, and you were a college rodeo. I don't know if you noticed, I got my Miles Community College rodeo team.
I was Dawson Community College, buddy.
My daughters are not. I told them I was coming to do this and said I had my Miles City shirt on. My one said, "You're going to the college finals. You can't wear a Miles City," but you were Glendive, right?
Yep, Dawson College. Yeah, Buccaneer. Weren't they the Buccaneers or something?
I think they are the Buccaneers.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
No,
But
that's
now,
the high school's the Devils. Yeah,
I
the
went with some of
Buccaneers.
the greatest guys like Chuck Simonson, Larry Peabody, me, Mark Kuhn. Gosh, I can't think of all of them. Kevin Jeffries. They won the nation in 1981. And that was with Chuck, me, and I was out with I had knee surgery, but Chuck, Larry Peabody, Skinner. God, I can't remember all the guys, but that's the only time Dawson ever won it, in 1981.
Huh. You guys
I think
kind
a
of
couple years later, they got blacklisted for a couple years. They were doing something wrong.
look at you. You weren't one of those corrupt like Eric Dickerson at SMU. What'd they do for you?
It was pretty good time. We had all of our books, tuition paid, a place to live. We got what do they call it, work study or something. My job was I was supposed to go out and push rope and steers. I never did show up. I got $140 every 2 weeks or whatever it was. Then the greatest thing was Tom Ree. He was our rodeo advisor. Wonderful guy, egg teacher, but he was our egg teacher. So when we go take our egg tests, he would get up and leave the room. And then about 2 minutes before we had to have our test turned in, from about 15 feet from the door, he'd start stomping his feet when he was walking, so we could all get back in our chairs and because we were getting each other's answers.
This is like,
but we were all eligible.
It sounds like Louisville or basketball or Arizona basketball.
It was so awesome. It was a great time.
Your place there, and I've been out
Ivan
there.
Teagan was there.
Oh, Ivan Teagan. Oh, I know Ivan. Yeah. That was a good group. That was a really good group.
Yeah, it sure was. Marty Jandrew. Yeah. He went to NFR after that. They were all awesome.
Kids don't go. If a kid is good at 18 nowadays, they don't, rough stock, especially timed event guys will, but rough stock, there's so many avenues to go excel at rough stock and make money when you're 18 that a lot of rough stock guys don't go to college. I see it at the college.
Really. Yeah. It's a shame because it was, that was great, right? All them great world champions in the 80s and 90s and 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, they all most of them won a world title at college, or that's where they got better. And now it's, I don't know, it just ain't, the camaraderie for the college teams and stuff just ain't like it used to be.
Yeah. Your place there, and I've been out there, and you talk about your family, your whole family. You got Lacey and her husband, JR, and you got Sadie around and your wife, Sarah, and John's been around a little bit.
Yeah.
It's your whole family has chipped in. They help run the whole operation.
My oldest daughter, Lacey, she does so much around here. She does all the book work and we breed about 100 and some of them rodeo cows, and she keeps all the lineage, the blood work, and gets the papers sent in. And she just does anything I need her to do. And Sadie, she's a little more, what do you call them girls? But anyway, she works really hard. She does.
That could have gone a bad way.
She does all the ordering and buying and selling of our merchandise. She does a lot of our social media.
She's your marketing. She's your marketing person. Yeah.
She's kind of the marketing person. John, he helps around here. He's a lot like me, and that's why we don't get along real well. Two bullheads, but he's a good bull man. He's really a good bull man. I wish he'd take a little more, grab the bull by the horns a little more. But then I got great help, Delbert Noose and Derek Bevington and Juan. I've got a guy here, Juan Gonzalez, been with me for 14 years. He's got 6 kids. They're 11 on down. They're all born right on this ranch. They come running up, playing up here in my yard all the time and come see me. They're like my grandkids, but they're all born right here. I have houses all over this place because my theory is if you have a hired man, his family should be with him on the ranch. So when they go home for lunch, they spend time with their wife, their kids. It's It's not like you're going on a 9 to 5 and you don't see your kids. And I try to keep it all family orientated and keep everybody happy. It ain't always that easy to do because, one thinks the other one ain't doing this or that. Man, I get it all. I mean, it all comes right here, and I have to figure out how to make it work. And we do, but
you know what I always say, Chad? I always say that's what happens when your name's on the sign. When your name's on the sign, that's all you got to take care of it.
Everybody said, boy, it must be nice to be me. And I said, yeah, it is, but not all the time.
Juan, I know Juan. Is he Jose, or do you call him Jose, or is that?
No, he's his brother. He's got a brother, Jose, who works for me too.
And then the other brother's Hose B, right?
Isn't you always
Jose and Hose B?
Yeah, Chico's Hose B.
They told me they introduced themselves one time. We were eating in the VIP room, and he said, I'm Jose. I said, oh, and the other one said, I'm Hose B.
Yeah, but I wouldn't change anything. I bring a lot of work on myself and a lot of stress, but that's what I thrive. I thrive on that. I thrive on trying to be the best at what we do and do. Yeah. So yeah, I take on more events probably than I should and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's what I love to do.
Yeah. What in your bull deal, I've had Cord McCoy on here. I really cheer for Cord. I think he works hard and he's got some cool bulls, and I think he markets it the right way. And I talked to him about, his percentage of his bull business that's breeding and the percent that's kind of acquiring. You got it. Do you kind of have to have a balance? You breed your own, but if you see a chance, like he said, if there's a really good player on another team, you work something out to get that player on your team. You do have that balance as well in your
I think
business?
I have a pretty good balance, but I probably buy more bulls than them guys do because I do way more events than they do. I need a lot more bulls. We're talking these 14 touring pros. Those guys got none. I mean, they might take one guy might have a touring pro in Eastern Oklahoma, and each guy there brings 5 or 6 bulls. I do 14 of them, and I take 3 semi-loads, to everyone. So, yeah, I have to buy more on the workload that I take on. There's no way you could raise enough bulls to and have them groomed and ready to go. And I have to have bulls for Big Sky, which are kind of some of my better bulls. Then I have to have bulls for Great Falls.
Great Falls.
I got to have weaker. I can't just have. Like I said, I try to set the draw to the talent. Well, if I have just a few all great bulls, well, I'm no good for Binford or Belcourt or them. They don't need me.
I think that's a mistake fans make, and I think it's a mistake that a lot of stock contractors make. I don't know that fans understand. Your goal every time is not to buck everybody off. I think people look at guys that own bulls and think it makes your day if you buck everybody off. That is not true, is it?
There's a lot of them that do because they don't have anything to do with the production. Okay. Yeah. So they want to buck everybody off and brag about their bulls. But I'm hired to put on a production. And so my job is to make sure that when them people leave, they loved it, right? Not say, oh, everybody bucked off, or oh, them bulls didn't buck. So it's my job to set them pens and put on a production. And so I have a lot of weight on my shoulders where if somebody just hired me, say, hey, bring me 20 bulls, I'll just bring them 20 bucket some bitch I want to see buck and throw everybody off. And I'll get my check and laugh on the way home. But I can't. I'm getting paid very, very well from Andy Watson and from all Eric Glad and these people to make sure I put on a great show.
We're in the entertainment business.
That's it.
I think people forget that.
That's it. We're not in the see how good your bulls are business. We're in the that's why I hate and you can step in here, but that's why I hate classics at a UTB. It's totally ruins your production. They fight the chutes, they lay down. The bull riders don't know them. They fall off, they buck, and some of them buck like heck. But at the end of the day, you had a shit show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm probably going to catch hell from somebody.
No,
but
I will step in. I spoke out even on my stage show at the PBR World Finals. And for people listening, the classic bulls are the top 3 and 4 year old bulls. And you're right. They're not seasoned. They're hard to ride. And I spoke up and said, I do not think a night at the World Finals or 2 is a place to buck young bulls. We're in the entertainment business. We are crowning a world champion. So I have spoken out in public, completely what you're saying. We're in the entertainment business. It's not a good show.
Yeah. I think they're fine for somewhere, but I think if you've got a televised show, I don't care if it's a UTB or a World Finals. If you have a televised show, they have no business with them because they ruin your show. And I'm not into ruining. Like I said, if I was just going somewhere and I wanted to buck everybody off, the fine and dandy, and nobody knows, but I have a duty to every one of them committees to make sure that they have a production they can be proud of and award a champion and try and fill the short go up. That's my goal is to fill the short go up. That's my goal when I leave. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not there to buck everybody off. I'm there to fill that short go. I'm there to have a few great rides and the people go crazy and they buy it. And then they go over to Chad Berger's trailer and buy a calf. You're
selling shit here.
That's what I'm into, buddy. That's what I'm into.
A jean jacket. I need a couple new jean jackets.
And I think a lot of those bull riders see that and know that, and I have a little, I don't know if I want to call it a trick but I'll bet you 90% of the people that set the draw don't do what I do. My first section of bulls, because I run like 1 through 40, and that's how they buck them, right? The way I turn the list in, they just draw the cowboys to that bull. Well, them first 2 or 3 bulls, everybody in the world is supposed to ride them, okay? I said that first section is to get the momentum, get 2-3 rides, and maybe 4 rides. But that's what sets your tempo for that whole bull riding. If you start slamming them heads in the dirt, the first 5-10 bulls, your momentum goes like this. Yeah, you ride 3 or 4 in the first section, your momentum goes like this.
Yeah. It's funny. You were talking about selling a hat or a jean jacket. There's a movie. Remember the old movie Coming to America with Eddie Murphy?
Oh God, yeah.
And when their luggage got stolen, the next day they stepped out and everybody's walking around with their clothes on. Remember that? That's how I felt when the first time I went to Binford, North Dakota, and everybody in town had a Chad Berger Bucking Bulls denim jacket. And I said, holy crap. Everybody had a coat. You're marketing, man. You got it out there.
Okay. One night in Kalispell, Montana. Okay. Sadie sells $9,500 worth of merchandise. And Friday night in Kalispell. I don't know what she did close to that Saturday night in Great Falls. A little less people, a little less. But I mean, where do you, and all it says is Chad Berger or a smooth operator or whatever. It's nothing. But they're really cool looking jackets. They're really cool, and people love them.
Yeah.
My banker sent me a picture from Queen Creek, Arizona this winter. They had a bull riding down there. And there's about 6 natives standing on the far end of where the chutes were standing down on the ground. He takes a picture and sends it to me. There's 6 Chad Berger jean jackets on 6 Navajos.
That's your demo though. That's your demo. Okay. You have to tell, just for the people, every time I see Chad Berger behind the chute, when you came on the screen here, it's you. You got to tell everybody where that came from. Tell that story.
It's the greatest story ever. I laughed for 2 hours afterwards. But I'm driving in North Dakota on Highway 83. I'm coming from Linton, and I get stopped at Moffett. There's a road construction. There's a guy with a stop sign there, and I look at him, and he's got a Chad Berger camouflage cap on. Big native guy, probably weighed close to 300. And So I rolled my window down. I said, "Hey, you got a nice cap there." Well, he says, "Thank you, sir." And he looks down in the window and he says, "Hey, it's you," he said. Yeah.
That's the best.
I laughed from Moffat's about 35 miles from Mandan, and I laughed the whole way. I called up everybody I could think of, telling them about it.
You've told me. And then I called you not long ago. I was in Great Clips, or went in for a haircut, and there was 2 native guys sitting there waiting for a haircut, and they both had Chad Berger buck and bull caps. And I had to call you. That's all I could think was, "Hey, it's you."
It's amazing. I get people calling me from telling me they seen a guy in Atlanta airport with a Chad Berger coat on, or I got a picture from the Final Four a year ago when it was Minneapolis. Somebody took a picture, guy wearing a Chad Berger buck and bull jacket at the Final Four. They're all over the place. It's just cool, you know. So when I first started this deal, everybody had one I knew, you know. But now they go. My daughter literally ships to Australia, France, New Zealand, you know, all over not just in the United States. Yeah.
Hey, on those bulls that you breed in your program, you know, there's the kid out there that everybody's predicting his future when he's 12 years old in junior high, and they're saying he's never going to be a basketball player, or he's going to be the greatest basketball player in the world, and they end up predicting wrong. Are bulls the same? Like, how many would you say in general, you know, when they're a yearling or a 2-year-old, how many chances do you give them? Or are the great ones like Chris Shivers, when you see them, you know right away?
Well, you know, you have to give them a little chance, some of them, because some of them, if you like, I'll give you a prime example. There was a bull in the PBR they called Locomotive Breath years ago. Yeah. Little gray muley. That was my dad raised that bull. And when we bucked him at home here, he just run laps around the arena, fast as he could run. And a guy from South Dakota, Randy Curtis, that boy named Brian, was high school rodeo, and he asked my dad if he could come pick up 3-4 bulls for his kid to practice on. So my dad sent that bull, you know, figured that'd be a good one for a young kid to practice on. Well, a couple months later, I'm in Bowman at the cattle sale. This Randy Curtis shows up. He said, "Chad, there's a gray muley in there that'll spin 100 miles an hour." Yeah, I said, "Yeah, around the fence." "No," he said, "in the gate, round the left, spin 100 miles an hour." Well, that bull, if you wouldn't have given him, nobody would ever know or heard of Locomotive Breath, because my dad wouldn't have given that bull that many chances. Yeah. He just looked like he was going to be terrible, you know. But then there's them bulls that are pretty good, and they just get better every time you buck them. Them are the ones I really like, because they learn how to buck. They learn how to get rank. And then some of them bulls that are the first time you buck them are so rank, that's the very best trip they ever did in their whole life. They never buck like that again. Yeah. So it's kind of a game of knowledge and game of trying to figure out your animals and which ones you know. There's some that ain't absolutely going to make it, you know, and some that you got to work with a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to tell you some bulls, and just give me a couple thoughts about each bull. All right, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Whether it's emotional, whether it's quality. I'll start with my favorite bull of all time, personality-wise and everything, Little Yellow Jacket.
Well, Little Yellow Jacket was as close to a human being as I've ever been around, and a bull that I've ever been around in my life. He just knew. He knew when the stakes were high. He knew, you know, one time in Billings, you remember Ross Johnson? He was in the PBR. Yep. He's probably most famous for when he got his spur hooked in for a half hour in Fort Worth.
North Carolina. Yeah.
Anyways, or wherever it was. Anyways, we were standing there and they were introduced. They used to always introduce the bull, remember, at the opening. And they're introducing Little Yellow Jacket. And he's walking around out there, and there's 2 fire flames there. And he stands right between them walks in between them 2 fire flames. And when they said the bull's name is Little Yellow Jacket, that bull just reared in the air and went like this here and went down. And that Ross Johnson said, "Did you see that? That son of a bitch is human," he said. But I mean, and when he bucked for that $1 million for Chris Shivers.
Yeah.
He never bucked so hard in his entire life. Then he walked from down to one end of the chutes and looked at the crowd, walked all with the middle gate open, walked right past it, all the way to the other end of the corner of the crowd and looked at him and turned around and walked out.
He was
the coolest bull I ever been around in my life.
Me too. Favorite of all time.
Yep.
Favorite bull. Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor was, I have a hard time still talking about him, but he was a big bull. He weighed about 1,900. He could weigh 1875 to 1950, just depending on the condition. But he was so athletic, and he was the opposite of the Yellow Jacket. You don't want nobody by him. If you came to look at him, he'd go stand over in the corner. But if he could be running down an alley, a 14, 16-foot alley, and if you were hiding and you spooked him, that bull could jump off all fours, and he would land on the other side of that 14-foot alleyway, because that's how he was. He was just like a cat. He was so cool. Yeah.
Up until Jose and Whoopah came along. JB Mooney on Pearl Harbor in Sioux Falls, just the whole situation was the best live bull ride I had ever seen, just in the whole atmosphere. JB couldn't get on his first one, and it was a 15-15. Anyway, that bull, he was cool.
Well, I still say to this day, that ride, what you're talking about, and that ride at Cooper Davis in
Atlantic City,
New Jersey, are the two best bull rides in PBR history.
When you talk,
they might not be the highest scores, but they're the best rides.
Okay, Smooth Operator.
Them bulls are hard to ride.
Smooth Operator was the other one I was going to tell. Yeah.
Smooth Operator, coolest bull. I loved him to death. And that bull came for so much adversity, so many injuries, and that we had to nurse him through. But he was so great that I just kept working with him, And at the age of 9 and 10, he was a world champion bucking bull. And he got hurt when he was 5. And I know he would have won the world that year. He was so ranked that it was ranker than he ever was. But he hurt himself bucking so hard. And
Cooper Davis on Smooth Operator in Atlantic City. We joked it was the greatest bull ride that nobody saw. Remember, there was about 1,000 people there.
Yeah.
Like on a Sunday afternoon in Atlantic City. It was
awesome.
Brandon Bates said that. That's that he could have been 97 points that day. I remember. What about, you kind of gave Asteroid a chance, didn't you?
Yeah.
He was it was like trading for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when he was 40, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did. And, he come out firing right away. And he even with 2 years, he got ridden one time in 2 years that I had him. And that was right here in Bismarck. And Jess Lockwood had a spur hung and rope hanging off, almost hitting the ground for the last 3 or 4 seconds. And that's the only time that bull was ever rode, but all the time I had him.
Mm-hmm.
And
but he was a big baby too, wasn't he? That bull, he was gentle.
Oh God, we got pictures out here, videos of 7, 8 of them bull riders in the pen, all scratching on them at one time. And we got a really cool video of Mary Sue, my sister-in-law, jumping on him off the fence, sitting on him, and then he started to walk off. She hung on the fence and fell down. And
your sister, I know your sisters-in-law, and they would.
But what a cool bull! That bull was so awesome.
Am I missing one? What's an older bull that I might be missing? You listed some that are very.
Big Tex was, he was always a world contender, just big and rank, and and we had that $50,000 match against Bones in Birmingham, Alabama, and Big Tex won, and so he was another one of my favorite bulls that almost won a title. He was he had the most, back when they voted on by Cowboys. He had the most votes going in that one year. And then my other bull that I was partners on, Cold Blue, beat him out. But so Cold Blue is another one that sure needs to be talked about. He was a great bull. And one of my all-time favorite bulls was Copperhead Slinger.
Yeah.
He was big and mean and scary, and And my greatest memory is in Massachusetts, Worcester, with Matt Bohan on him, and he bucked Matt Bohan on him, and Shorty Gorham come in to save him, and Matt was on the left side and Shorty was on the right side of him. He took his left horn and threw Matt Bohan about 10 feet in the air, and in the same motion, come and hooked with his right horn, hooked Shorty Gorham and shot him 10 feet the other way. They're just like, Matt wasn't even on the ground yet when Shorty was going up. It was, and that bull, he had the coolest thing when we fed him grain. We always had a big rubber tub, right? And he'd lick out that tub and he'd get it all clean, and he'd bite it and he'd throw it in the air, and it turned upside down, and he'd walk over to get a drink of water. And if it didn't flip over, he'd grab it again until it flipped upside down. He might do it 2 times, 3 times, but he'd play with it and bite it and throw it in the air until it's on the other side.
That's a good clip right there, Logan, for a commercial. That's a,
I got a video of it somewhere. And then I can't not mention Pella Station Deuces Wild, because he was my first great bull, short round bull that was got me to go where I could go anywhere I want. He was my first great bull, and Just McBride was the first guy to ride him in Billings for like 94 or something. And but I could go all. I had so many great bulls.
So you have one. You had the bull of the finals, of the World Finals this year. Is that a young? How old is that? Nighthawk?
He's 6 coming 7, but he's hasn't been used all that much, and I really think I might be speaking out of turn, but he was the very best bull out of the best bulls in the world at the finals, and he don't get hauled. With me campaigning him and getting him to the right spots, I think he's got as good a shot as any bull you can talk about, whoop or riding solo or whatever. But I think he's got as good a chance as any one of them bulls to be in the game for next year.
Yeah.
If he stays sound, and if everything, to be a world champion bucking bull, everything has to go just right. Just like the world champion bull rider. Yeah. It's not, they got to stay healthy. Number one, they get hurt just like the riders do. You have to lay them off for a while, let them heal up. They miss some events they should be at. But, if we can strategize where he needs to go, and I think we got a legitimate shot. You could see Nighthawk going at it next Sunday morning in Fort Worth, Texas. Thanks, May.
One more thing, because I get asked this a lot, and I'm sure you do. When you put a name of a bull up there, it's Chad Berger, Clay Struve, Flint Rasmussen, but Clay Struve is a good partner of yours. But what does it take? It's a little like having your name owning a racehorse, right? If I want my name on Nighthawk, I want to help own that bull with you. What is the process? What do I have to do? What do I got to come up with to do that?
Come up with some cash, number one. And we do a contract, and I have a lot of great partners. I've had partners Clay's been my partner since 2005. What is that? 17 years. I've had a lot of great partners for a long time, but my deal is to tell them the way it is, and don't promise them any roses. It's all you got is dandelions. Don't sell them roses, and just do things right, And I have a lot of great partners that want to invest with me and want to have some bulls, and there's no big money in unless you land on a smooth operator or something like that. They all got their money back plus interest and plus more. But if generally those people, they're on there because they love the sport. They love the bulls. There's, as well as I do, when you ask the crowd, the cheers damn near as loud, if not louder, for the bull. If they ask who's here for the bulls or who's for the riders. So a lot of people become bull fans, and they want to own a bull. They want to own part interest in a bull, and they can come to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and buck that bull and stand in the crowd and say, tell the people sitting next to them that that's their bull or his bull, and it's a thing of, hell, how many people love to buy racehorses? I'll guarantee these people the most they can lose their investment, because I don't charge them for feed or hay or vets or anything. They can lose as much as their investment. You buy a racehorse that don't win, and I'm going to tell you something, you lose your investment and then a whole lot more for the trainer and the entry fees and all that, you know.
What's your bull? What's the little black bull that bucked off Jose? It was Jose's reride at the World Finals.
Safety meeting.
And the chiropractor from Minnesota is part owner. Is he part owner?
That's their second bull they bought. And man, if they had a long ride with safety meeting, you know, and I really love it because it creates more fans. You know, like, okay, the guy from Minnesota, the chiropractor, he's got hundreds of friends that follow the PBR just because of safety meeting, which they would never follow it otherwise. And now they'll follow it after safety meeting because they became fans of bucking bulls and PBR and bull riding. So this partnership deal, you know, the PBR should take more interest in it and make sure that when they put their names up there, they're up there. Half the time they don't put your deal up there, which means nothing to me, but it means a lot to my partners, you know. And these partners that everybody has, not just me, they create not only them as a fan, all their friends and family and the people in the town they live, they all know safety meeting. He's like a hero in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. Yeah. You know, so it creates a lot of these fans or partners create lots more fans, you know, and that's PBR needs to capitalize on that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They capitalize on that. It just, everything comes.
Yeah. The thing I need to capitalize on is when I see you end of the month in Binford, I need a couple Chad Berger Buck and Bull jean jackets for some family. It, so. Hey, that's what I need to capitalize.
Mom and Dad. I wanted to see your mom and dad in Great Falls. Never got to see them, but if they don't have one, I thought your dad, I give him one, but maybe you don't.
He might have one. I think it's my brother, the judge.
We got to make sure we wardrobed him. People.
Okay, I'll take care of them.
I hope you have a good time at the college finals next week.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I know I've gone to Bismarck for a long time, and I left Casper last year with my daughter winning the goat tying, and I came to Bismarck and I had a ball at Bismarck, but I told my daughter Paige, I said, I'll never do that to you again. And so
it's very important to do that. And it breaks my heart you ain't in Bismarck, but it makes me happy to know you're doing something that you need to do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I learned a lot today, Chad. I appreciate it. I learned
something every time. You'll learn a lot more too.
Okay. I know I will. There is that Sadie? Is that Sadie?
Sadie Rose. That's Sadie. I don't know.
Sadie, set aside a couple jean jackets. Sadie, I need a couple. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate the time always.
Hey, wonderful.